Welcome back to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'll be talking to you about the most annoying MMA fans in the whole MMA circle, MMA sphere, and I'll be telling you why they're annoying. Now, I'll probably be talking about a variation of you in this video. I don't have any ill feelings towards anyone who does this. I probably did it at some point. I just think that a lot of the takes they be spewing out on Instagram, on Twitter, they can be categorized as silly awe sometimes. So yeah, let's just hop right into it. Now the Glazers. Now this is I know when people think of Glazers, they think of the Israel Adesanya people, the dog diddlers. But I feel like people forget about Sean Strickland and him gaining a glazing crew recently. Now the thing about Glazers, they refuse to believe anything's their favorite fighter's fault. And that can be a bad thing. When looking at Izzy, when you're just completely neglecting how he touched stuff, like John Jones, you completely neglecting how he's beating women, hitting pregnant women. And even like Sean Strickland, not even close to as egregious as any of those things, but I've seen the most amount of glaze from Sean Strickland's fan base where they refuse to accept that the Paulo Costa versus Strickland fight maybe had to do a little bit with Sean Strickland making it boring. They'll completely neglect that, say that Paulo Costa wasn't doing anything, even though Sean Strickland was just teeping him over and over. They'll say that the Navy SEAL thing was okay, even though Sean Strickland did eventually apologize for that. And if you don't know what happened there, he just completely he called out like David Goggins and the Navy SEALs and challenged them to a fight, even though of course he's gonna win. He eventually apologized, but the thing about these people, they'll fight to the death in the comment sections. There's usually no winner. They'll just be doing essays over and over back to each other, and I don't think they're even reading them. They'll just completely repeat themselves over and over. And they'll ignore silly situations like what I said against Izzy said with Jones. They'll completely neglect dog touching and wife beating. So now moving on to the negative Nancy's slash hardcores with I forgot what those marks are called, man. But the thing about these guys, they don't really. These are the people who watch MMA, but they don't watch MMA to support fighters or to see who's the best fighter. They do it to kind of just like fill their own personal biases. They'll never really admit that their least favorite fighter has any good performances. Like they'll watch like the Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier fight, and they'll just completely neglect that they were watching an amazing fight and just be negative about the Islam situation. They'll watch Bilal become the champion and pretend like this is the worst era of the UFC of all time, even though like I know you did not like Leon Edwards that much. And yeah, I just think a lot of these guys, they they think they're like, I think they're anti-establishment with the UFC. Every time there's a matchup that's brought up, you'll see comments countering the matchup that they made and making a new matchup that would have been way better, that the hardcore fan typed up, that this is what the UFC needs. And I just think a lot of these guys, they be silly. I think they be hearing the same stereotypical takes over and over, and they just like repeat it into the void. And I think that there's nothing wrong with it. I just think a lot of these guys, they kind of look for the negatives in situations instead of like actually looking for like good things. Like they'll see Izzy versus DDP, and even though like obviously Sean Strickland deserves a title shot, they won't be excited for it because Sean Strickland needs this. And yeah, David Goggins was not a good idea. David Goggins shouldn't have been anywhere near Tony Ferguson. I just think, why, like, let's have a little fun. Like, why can't David Goggins be next to Tony Ferguson on the corner? If Leon Edwards has that Jamaican dude screaming random shit like all the time, why can't David Goggins be there? So yeah, this is probably my most controversial. I just think like a lot of MMA fans just be angry for no reason. So yeah. Now, next one, the Geezers. I'm not gonna touch into this one too much because I feel like this is very self-explanatory. I did a Jose Aldo is overrated video recently, so I had the Geezers hit in my lineup. It was pretty bad, but a lot of these guys, I feel like they're just trying to stay in the good old days. They watched Jose Aldo, dominate the WEC. They watched Anderson Silva dominate plumbers and stuff, and they'll just hold on to that as a memory that they love, and then take it personally whenever they hear people discrediting that. They'll neglect these legends' careers after their primes and like expect you to do the same, even though like that's not how like resumes work. Like you have to take into account everything, not just the shitters that they were fighting. And yeah, like I was saying, they hype up shitty competition. Like I had someone tell me that Kenny Florian was decent, and he was decent back in that time. If you think Kenny Florian's decent compared to MMA fighters now, I have some news for you. If you want to go and watch that other video on my channel, boom. All right. And now, finally, parlay MMA creators. I do not feel bad for you if you spend your money on these picks. The thing is, these guys, I don't have anything against them. I think what they're doing is smart. I've nothing against making picks. If you have actual picks and you have reasoning for them, it's good. The thing about these guys, they'll just be spewing, like, they'll say nothing. They'll be like, yeah, Umar's bound to win because he's a Nurmagomedov in Abu Dhabi, bro. That's why he'll win. And it's just like, dude, that's not a reason. And if you're gambling with these guys, you are a fool. I'm sorry. They are sponsored by the gambling companies. Their reasonings are always, I'm sorry for keep on using the word silly, but it's silly They're never right. And like they look at the Tapology page, and I do believe they watch the fights, but I just don't believe that these guys put any thought into any of their picks. They're sponsored by gambling companies again. And then what I just want to tell my viewers, just come to your own conclusions, man. Or watch MMA YouTubers who actually give you reasons to pick these guys, instead of just looking at Derek from Better Media and then making your decisions there. And the guy on the top, I think he's better. I think he watches MMA actually, but his is pretty much a guess. Like I've never seen him get a pick right. So yeah, that's my video on the most annoying MMA fans. I hope you enjoyed it. Please subscribe. Go back, maybe look at my other videos. That'd be chill. And yeah, keep being whatever, man.